Katrina Bennett left her purse at a restaurant on Thursday night. 2 hours later, the owner of 3 art galleries was standing at her door in Queens with it. Sometimes forgetting things leads to finding exactly what you didn't know you were looking for. The day started ordinary enough. Kat woke up at 6:30 in her small Astoria apartment, made coffee in the machine that took 3 tries to work properly, and put on the navy dress she'd ironed the night before. Thursday meant client meetings at Hart & Associates, the architecture firm where she'd spent the last 18 months as an intern doing coffee runs, 3D renderings, and whatever grunt work the senior architects didn't want to do themselves. Her apartment was tiny, 1 bedroom on the 4th floor of a walk-up building from 1965. But it was hers. First place she'd ever lived alone. The rent ate most of her intern stipend, but she didn't care. Independence had a price, and she paid it gladly. She took the N train from Astoria into Manhattan, squeezed between a man reading the Times and a woman doing her makeup with impressive precision, despite the train lurching every 30 seconds. 40 minutes later, she emerged at the office building in Midtown, took the elevator to the 12th floor, and walked into Hart & Associates at exactly 8 o'clock. The office was open plan, all glass and white walls and that specific smell of expensive coffee someone was always brewing somewhere. Her desk was tucked in a corner, small and cluttered with printouts and sticky notes and architectural magazines she collected compulsively. She'd barely logged into her computer when an email popped up. From Robert Hart. Subject: Meeting. 2 p.m. today. Body: Katrina, please come to my office at 2 p.m. RH. Her stomach dropped. Robert Hart didn't send personal meeting requests unless something was very good or very bad. There was no middle ground with the founding partner. She spent the morning working on renderings for the Greenpoint residential project, trying not to think about the meeting, failing completely at not thinking about the meeting. Did she mess something up? Was her internship getting cut? They'd mentioned budget constraints last month. Maybe they were letting interns go. At 2 o'clock, she walked to Robert's office, trying to look confident despite the panic climbing her throat. Robert Hart was in his 60s, gray hair perfectly styled, wearing a suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent. His office had floor-to-ceiling windows with views of Manhattan, architectural models on shelves, framed awards covering one wall. Katrina, sit down. He gestured to the chair across from his desk. I'll get straight to it. You've been with us 18 months. You've worked on 12 projects. Every project manager you've worked with has given positive feedback. Mark especially praised your work on the Greenpoint renovation. Your rooftop garden design was excellent. Kat's heart was pounding. Thank you, Mr. Hart. We're offering you a position as junior architect. Full-time, salary, benefits. You'll have your own small projects to manage. Are you interested? She tried to keep her voice steady. Yes, very interested. Thank you so much. Good. You start officially Monday. HR will send the paperwork. Congratulations, Kat. She walked out of his office in a daze. 18 months of proving herself. 18 months of arriving early and staying late and saying yes to every terrible task. It had worked. Back at her desk, she pulled out her phone and opened the group chat with her 3 closest friends. Kat. Guys, I got promoted. Sienna. What? Tell me everything. Madison. Congrats. You deserve it. Taylor. Celebration dinner tonight is mandatory. Kat. You don't have to do that, Sienna. Already making reservation. Piccolo Paradiso. 8 p.m. No is not an option. Kat smiled at her phone. Sienna had been her best friend since college, worked in marketing, and never took no for an answer about anything. Madison was quieter, worked in finance, had been in their dorm freshman year. Taylor was her old roommate, now married and 4 months pregnant, still made time for girls' nights. She worked the rest of the day with a lightness she hadn't felt in months. At 6, she went home, changed into jeans and a black top, did her makeup carefully, and took the train back into Manhattan. Piccolo Paradiso was in the West Village, a small Italian restaurant that had been there for 40 years. The kind of place with checkered tablecloths and photos of Italy on the walls and bread that arrived warm in a basket before you even ordered. Kat arrived at 8, to find her friends already at a round table in the middle of the restaurant. Sienna stood up and hugged her immediately. Junior architect. Look at you being all professional and successful. 18 months of coffee runs finally paid off, Kat said, sitting down. Taylor poured wine from the bottle already on the table. Chianti. To Kat. For not giving up when that senior architect made you redo the same rendering 7 times. To Kat, Madison echoed. They clinked glasses. Kat drank. The wine was good, smooth, warmer than she expected going down. Sienna ordered appetizers without looking at the menu. Bruschetta, calamari. More wine arrived. The waiters seemed to know they were celebrating something and kept their glasses full. Kat didn't usually drink much. 2 glasses and she'd be tipsy. 3 and she'd be definitely drunk. But tonight was special. First real job. First real salary. First time she could actually call herself an architect without the intern qualifier. They ate and talked and laughed. Taylor told stories about her husband attempting to assemble a crib. Madison complained about her boss who sent emails at 11 p.m. and expected responses. Sienna recounted a disastrous client meeting where the client's dog had eaten the presentation materials. The first bottle of wine disappeared fast. Sienna ordered a second. Across the restaurant, Dominic Moretti sat alone at his usual table in the corner. The table where his father used to sit when Dominic was young, back when Salvatore Moretti would bring his son here to talk about business. The legitimate kind, and the other kind. The table with its back to the wall and clear view of the entrance and exits. Antonio, the owner, had stopped by earlier. Dom, it's been 2 weeks. I thought maybe you forgot about us. Been busy with the Chelsea Gallery. New exhibition opening next month. Your father would be proud. 3 galleries. He always said you had an eye for art. He taught me well. You eating alone tonight? I thought you had a meeting. Cancelled last minute. Decided to come anyway. Good. Paolo will take care of you. The usual? Dominic nodded. He ordered the same thing every time. Caprese salad. Ossobuco. Espresso after. He'd been coming here since he was 10 years old. The place felt like memory and comfort wrapped in red sauce and bread. He opened a book but didn't really read it. Instead, his attention kept drifting to the table in the middle of the restaurant. 4 women. Loud in the way groups of friends celebrating something tend to be loud, laughing, animated, genuine joy. One of them caught his eye specifically. Dark hair. Pretty in an understated way. Smiled like she meant it. Laughed with her whole body. Natural. No pretense. Just someone having a good time with friends. He watched. Not obviously. Just aware. It was habit. Always aware of surroundings. But also curiosity. Something about the way she moved. The way she interacted. Comfortable in herself. At 9:30, the second bottle of wine was mostly gone, and Sienna ordered a third. Kat was officially past tipsy, and well into drunk. Not sloppy, just filter-off drunk. The kind where everything was funnier, and she told embarrassing stories without caring. And then the client asked if I was sure about the calculations, and I said absolutely I'm sure. And I was wrong by 3 meters. 3. Mark had to redo everything. How did you not get fired? Madison asked. Because I cried. A lot. And Mark is basically a saint. They laughed. Taylor ordered tiramisu to share. The third bottle arrived. At 10 o'clock, Kat felt it. The shift from drunk and happy to drunk and about to be very unhappy. Stomach turning, head spinning, heat creeping up her neck. She stood up too fast. The table wobbled. I need to go. Sienna looked up. You okay? No, I need to go home. Now. Madison started to stand. We'll come with you. No. Stay. Finish dinner. I'm fine. I just need to go. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for ruining the night. You're not ruining. Taylor started. But Kat was already moving. She pulled her phone from her jeans pocket, opened the Uber app with shaking hands, and walked quickly toward the door. The restaurant tilted slightly. She focused on not falling, on getting outside, on breathing. She made it to the sidewalk and immediately felt better in the cool air. Requested an Uber, 4 minutes away. She could handle 4 minutes. Behind her at the table, her friends looked at each other with concern. "Should we go after her?" Madison asked. "She's already in an Uber," Sienna said, checking her phone. Kat had texted the group. "Going home. So sorry. Thank you for tonight. Love you guys." "She's going to feel terrible tomorrow," Taylor said. "We'll check on her in the morning. Let's finish up and split the check." They stayed another 40 minutes. Finished the third bottle. Split the tiramisu. Talked about how Kat deserved this promotion, how she'd worked so hard, how they were proud of her. They paid and left around 10:40, still discussing whether they should check on her tonight or wait until morning. None of them noticed the brown leather purse still hanging on the back of Kat's chair. Paolo, the waiter, came to clear the table at 10:42. He saw the purse immediately, picked it up, looked around as if the owner might materialize. "Antonio, someone left a bag." Antonio came over, wiping his hands on a towel. "Put it in the lost and found. They'll call tomorrow." "Should I try to catch them?" "They left 20 minutes ago, just put it in back." But before Paolo could move, Dominic was there. He'd been nursing an espresso and limoncello that Antonio had brought over complimentary. They'd been talking about the new artist Dominic was considering for the Soho Gallery, about how the art world was changing, about life. "I'll take it," Dominic said. "I'll make sure she gets it back." Paolo looked uncertain. "You know her, Mr. Moretti?" "No. But I saw her leave earlier. She looked sick. She's going to need her keys, her ID." He took the purse from Paolo's hands. "I'll handle it." Antonio watched this with interest. He'd known Dominic since the boy was 10 years old. Had watched him grow up in his father's shadow. Had seen him take over the galleries after Salvatore died. Antonio knew that look. Knew when Dominic had decided something. "Of course, Dom. Let us know if you need anything." Dominic paid his check, left cash that covered the bill plus a generous tip, and walked out with the purse. In his car, a black Mercedes parked 2 blocks away, he opened the purse. Not to invade privacy, just to find an address. The wallet was right on top. He opened it. Driver's license. Katrina Bennett, 25 years old based on the birth date. Address in Astoria, Queens. He sat there for a moment. The sensible thing would be to call the restaurant tomorrow. Leave the purse in lost and found. She'd call looking for it. Problem solved. But he'd noticed her during dinner. The way she laughed. The genuine joy on her face. The way she interacted with her friends. Natural. Beautiful in a way that didn't require effort. Celebrating something that clearly meant a lot to her. Curiosity, interest, opportunity. He pulled out his phone and called Marco, one of his people who handled things that needed handling. "Dom, what do you need?" An address verification. Katrina Bennett, 31-20, 34th Street, Astoria, apartment 4B. Confirm it's current and tell me if the area is safe. Give me 20. Thanks. Dominic started the car and began driving toward Queens. 15 minutes later, his phone rang. Address confirmed. 4th floor walk-up. Buildings from 1965, well maintained. Area is quiet, residential, safe. She's been there 8 months according to utility records. Lives alone. I appreciate it, Marco. Anything else? No, that's all. He drove across the Queensboro Bridge, through the industrial stretch of Long Island City, into the residential streets of Astoria. The neighborhood was tree-lined, a mix of old apartment buildings and newer construction. Working-class area that was slowly gentrifying. He found the address easily. A brick building, 4 stories, fire escape zigzagging down the front. Lights on in various windows. He parked across the street. Checked the time. 11:55. Meanwhile, Kat's Uber had gotten her home by 10:40. The driver had been mercifully quiet, not trying to make conversation with someone who was clearly struggling. She'd made it up 4 flights of stairs carefully, one hand on the railing the entire time. Found her keys in her jeans pocket. Unlocked her door. Went straight to the bathroom. She threw up once. Not much. Just enough to feel marginally better. Then she took a shower. Long and hot. The water pressure wasn't great, but she didn't care. She stood under the spray, washing away the wine, and the embarrassment of leaving her own celebration dinner early. She put on pajamas. Shorts and an oversized NYU architecture school t-shirt that had been through the wash so many times it was soft as cloth. Went to the kitchen. Drank an entire bottle of water standing at the sink. Refilled it. Drank half of that one too. Made toast with butter because her stomach needed something solid and simple. Ate it slowly while leaning against the counter. By 11:30, she was in bed scrolling through Instagram, still feeling tipsy but significantly better than she had an hour ago. The room spun slightly if she closed her eyes, so she kept them open, looking at photos of other people's lives, double-tapping hearts on pictures of food and sunsets and dogs. Then she realized something. Where was her purse? She sat up, looked around the small bedroom. Not on the dresser where she usually put it. Not on the floor. Not on the chair in the corner. Oh no. She had her phone. She was holding it. But her keys, her wallet, her ID, her Metro card, everything else. She opened the group chat with her friends. Kat. Guys, I left my purse at the restaurant. 3 dots appeared immediately. Sienna. Sienna. We didn't see it when we left. Must still be there. Call them first thing tomorrow. Madison. They'll hold it for you. Don't worry. Taylor. Feeling better? Kat. Yeah, better. Stupid for forgetting. Thanks again for tonight. Sorry I bailed early. Sienna. Stop apologizing. We love you. Get some sleep. Kat put her phone down and sighed. She'd have to call Piccolo Paradiso in the morning. They'd have it. Everything would be fine. She'd just have to get to work without her Metro card and figure that out. Small problems. Fixable. She lay back down. The ceiling fan spun slowly above her. The room felt less tilty now. Sleep was coming. At exactly midnight, someone knocked on her door. Kat opened her eyes. Looked at her phone screen. Midnight. Who knocked on doors at midnight? She got up carefully, still not entirely steady. Walked to the door in bare feet. Looked through the peephole. A man stood in the hallway. Tall. Dark hair. Well-dressed even at midnight. Wearing what looked like an expensive suit with no tie. The jacket unbuttoned. He was holding something. Her purse. Her brain tried to process this through the remaining alcohol fog. Her purse. A stranger. Her apartment. Midnight. Nothing connected properly. She unlocked the door but left the chain on. Opened it the few inches the chain allowed. Hello? He looked at her and smiled. It was a nice smile. Kind eyes. Hi. You left this at the restaurant. He held up her brown leather purse. You came from Manhattan to Queens at midnight to return my purse? I saw you leave earlier. You looked like you needed to get home quickly. Thought you might need your keys. Your ID. She processed this. That's extremely above and beyond normal human behavior. Like, well beyond what most people would do. Most people would just leave it at the restaurant. I'm not most people. She stared at him through the gap in the door. He was objectively very attractive. Tall, probably 6'2". Dark hair styled in that way that looked effortless but probably wasn't. Strong jaw, kind eyes that didn't look threatening despite the lateness of the hour and the strangeness of the situation. She closed the door, took the chain off, opened it fully. Clearly not most people. She paused, looking at him more carefully now. Do you want to come in? I should offer you coffee or something. That's what polite people do when an attractive stranger shows up at midnight with their forgotten belongings, right? He blinked. His smile widened. You just called me attractive. She realized what she'd said. Drunk brain operating with zero filter. I did. Yes, you are. Very attractive, actually. Sue me. I drank 3 bottles of wine between 4 people tonight, so my filter is completely broken. Do you want coffee or not? He laughed. Genuine amusement. Coffee sounds great, thank you. Come in before I say something else embarrassing. He stepped inside and she closed the door behind him. Her apartment suddenly felt very small with him in it. He stayed near the entrance, polite, not presuming, while she went to the small kitchen area. I'm going to make coffee. You can sit if you want, or stand. Whatever feels less weird. This is weird though, right? A complete stranger in my apartment at midnight because I forgot my purse. A little weird, he agreed, but his tone was amused. But you invited me, so it's less weird than it could be. She filled the coffee maker with water and grounds, her hands steadier than they'd been an hour ago. The routine of it helped. Something normal in an extremely abnormal situation. He looked around at her space while he waited. It was clearly lived in, personal, posters of famous buildings on the walls. The Guggenheim, Fallingwater, the Sydney Opera House, a drafting table in the corner with sketches pinned to a corkboard above it. Books about architecture stacked on the coffee table and the floor beside it. Plants in the window, some thriving, others barely hanging on. Sorry about the mess, she called from the kitchen. I wasn't expecting company. Especially not at midnight. Especially not someone returning a purse. I forgot, because I got too drunk celebrating a promotion that happened yesterday, but feels like it happened a year ago because time is weird when you're drunk. You got promoted? Technically yesterday, since it's after midnight now. But yes, intern to junior architect. 18 months of making coffee and doing grunt work finally paid off. Congratulations. Thanks. The coffee maker beeped. She poured 2 mugs, brought them to the small living area. You can sit. The couch doesn't have anything weird on it. Probably. He sat on the small 2-seater couch. She sat in the armchair across from him, tucking her legs under her. Safer distance. Even drunk, she had some sense of self-preservation. So, she said, wrapping both hands around the warm mug. Do you have a name? Or should I keep thinking of you as extremely attractive, mysterious purse-returning stranger? Dominic. Dom. Cat. Well, Katrina. But everyone calls me Cat except my mother when she's annoyed with me. She sipped her coffee. It was too hot, but she didn't care. How did you find my address, Dom? My ID is in my wallet, but you actually drove to Queens based on an ID address. That's some serious commitment to Good Samaritanism. I saw you leave the restaurant. It seemed urgent. Thought you might need your things right away. Okay, but how did you know where to come? And how did you know it would be safe to come here? I could live in a terrible neighborhood. You could have been mugged walking from your car. Smart, observant, even drunk. I have resources. I checked that the area was safe before I came. Resources. She repeated the word slowly. Like Google Maps resources or other kinds of resources. Other kinds. She drank more coffee, watching him over the rim of her mug. Mysterious. Okay. I can accept mysterious at midnight. And you were at the restaurant because? Dinner. Alone. I go there frequently. The owner is a friend of my father's. Was a friend. My father died 5 years ago. But Antonio and I stayed close. It's a comfort place for me. I'm sorry about your father. Her voice softened. That's nice, though. Having a place that feels like home. What about you? That was obviously a celebration dinner. Yeah, me and my 3 best friends. Sienna, Madison, and Taylor. We were celebrating my promotion. They're the best. I got too drunk and had to bail, but they're the best. They seem like they care about you. I could tell from across the restaurant. You were watching us? Hard not to notice. You were the loudest table. She laughed. Fair. We were pretty loud. Sorry about that. Don't apologize. It was nice. Genuine happiness. You don't see that as much as you'd think. They talked for a while. About the restaurant, about Antonio, and how Dominic had been going there since he was a child. About architecture and her dreams of designing buildings. About art, which turned out to be his business. I own galleries, he said. 3 of them in Manhattan. Soho, Chelsea, Upper East Side. Art galleries, so you sell paintings? Paintings, sculptures, photography. I represent artists, host exhibitions, occasional auctions. That's really cool. I love art. Architecture is basically art in 3 dimensions. Exactly. She yawned suddenly, couldn't help it. Sorry, I'm not being rude. Just drunk and tired, and it's after midnight. I should go, let you sleep. Probably a good idea. She stood. He stood. She walked him to the door. Thank you, really, for bringing my purse, for driving all the way here, for being a decent human. You're welcome, Kat. She opened the door and then stopped. Can I have your number? To say thank you properly when I'm not drunk and embarrassing? He smiled. Yes. They exchanged numbers. She saved his as Dom Purse Hero. He saw it over her shoulder and laughed. Good night, Kat. Good night, Dom. Drive safe. He left. She closed the door and leaned against it, smiling despite everything. Despite the hangover that was definitely coming. Despite the embarrassment of the evening. Despite the strangeness of a man she didn't know driving to Queens at midnight. She grabbed her phone and texted the group. Update. Very hot stranger just brought my purse to my apartment at midnight. He owns art galleries and has eyes that should be illegal. We drank coffee. No, I'm not crazy. Maybe a little. Going to sleep now. Tell you everything tomorrow. She didn't wait for responses. Fell into bed still smiling, asleep within minutes. Friday morning arrived with the hangover she'd been expecting. Kat woke at 10 to sunlight stabbing through her curtains and her head pounding like someone was using it as a drum. She drank water, found Advil, drank more water, checked her phone. 47 messages in the group chat, most of them variations of shock and concern and demands for details. Then she saw a new message. From Dom, Purse Hero. Dom, good morning. How are you feeling? She smiled despite the headache. Kat. Like someone who drank 3 bottles of wine last night. Terrible, but alive. Dom, water, Advil, coffee, in that order. Kat. Already done all 3. You're very knowledgeable about hangovers. Dom. I have some experience. Kat. Thank you again for last night, for bringing my purse, for not judging my drunk rambling. Dom. Nothing to judge. You were celebrating. You earned it. She paused, looking at her phone. Then typed quickly before she could overthink it. Kat. Would you want to get dinner sometime, so I can thank you properly when I'm not drunk and embarrassing? The 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Her heart did something weird in her chest. Dom. I'd like that. When are you free? Kat. This weekend? Dom. Saturday? 7 p.m.? Kat. Perfect. Dom. I'll pick you up. Kat. You already know where I live. Creepy, but also convenient. Dom. See you Saturday, Kat. She fell back on her bed, grinning, then texted the group. New update. I have a date Saturday with Purse Hero. Yes, I know it's potentially insane. No, I don't care. Now please let me die of hangover in peace. Saturday took forever to arrive. Kat changed clothes 4 times before settling on a dress. Navy blue, simple, hit just above the knee. Not trying too hard, but still nice. She did her makeup carefully, hair down and wavy, checked herself in the mirror multiple times. At exactly 7, there was a knock on her door. She opened it to find Dominic in dark jeans and a charcoal button-down, holding flowers. Tulips in shades of pink and white. Hi. Hi. She took the flowers. These are beautiful. Thank you. Come in for just a second while I put them in water. He stepped inside while she found a vase, filled it, arranged the flowers with more care than strictly necessary because she was nervous and needed something to do with her hands. Ready? He asked when she finished. Ready. He'd chosen a French restaurant in Manhattan. Small, intimate. White tablecloths and candles and a menu that didn't list prices. They sat at a corner table and ordered wine and started talking and didn't stop for 3 hours. She told him about architecture school, about her first design that got selected for the end-of-year show, about her worst design that her professor had called architecturally impossible and aesthetically offensive, about interning at Hart & Associates and slowly proving herself. He told her about growing up in his father's world, about learning to see art, really see it, not just look at it, about taking over the galleries when Salvatore died, about the pressure of legacy and the freedom of making it his own. I'm sorry about your father, she said again. Thank you. He was complicated, brilliant about art, difficult about most other things. But he taught me to see beauty, to understand value. That matters. They ordered food, kept talking. The conversation flowed like they'd known each other much longer than a week. He made her laugh. She challenged his opinions about contemporary art. He liked that she challenged him. Dessert came, then coffee. Neither of them wanted the night to end. At 11, he drove her home, walked her to the building entrance. I had a really good time tonight, she said. So did I. Can we do this again? Definitely. He leaned in and kissed her. Soft. Brief. Perfect. Good night, Kat. Good night, Dom. She walked upstairs feeling like she was floating. The next 2 weeks were a blur of texts and phone calls and dates. Coffee. Sunday morning that turned into lunch that turned into walking around the neighborhood for 3 hours. The Met Museum. Tuesday evening, where they got lost in the Egyptian wing, and she told him about her dream of designing a museum someday. Dinner Wednesday, at a small Thai place in Brooklyn she loved. A walk through Central Park, Saturday afternoon, where autumn was painting the trees in shades of gold and orange and red. After the park, she asked to see his gallery. The Soho location was beautiful. High ceilings, white walls that showed the art without competing with it, hardwood floors, lighting that made each piece look its absolute best, contemporary art that pushed boundaries and made her think. This is incredible, she said, standing in front of a massive abstract painting. You like it? I love it. The space, the art, the way you've arranged everything. You're really good at this. Thank you. She noticed people coming in, well-dressed, expensive accessories. They greeted Dominic with respect that felt like something more. Deference, maybe. He introduced her to a few. Art collectors, he said. Business associates. They were polite, but she caught something in their eyes when they looked at him. Not fear exactly, but awareness. Calculation. Over the next few weeks, she noticed more things. Phone calls he took in Italian, stepping away with an apologetic smile. Meetings he mentioned vaguely, no details. The way maitre d's at restaurants gave him the best tables immediately. The 2 men she saw following them once. Discreet, but definitely there. Security, he'd said when she asked. Precaution. She wasn't stupid. She could add 2 and 2. Art galleries that were successful but maybe not the only business. A father he described as complicated. Resources that let him verify addresses in minutes. Security that followed him around Manhattan. A month into dating, she stayed over at his loft for the first time. It was stunning. Industrial space converted to luxury. Exposed brick walls. Floor-to-ceiling windows with views of the city. A kitchen with marble counters and appliances that probably cost more than her car. Art everywhere, obviously. A bedroom that was somehow both minimalist and incredibly comfortable. This place is amazing, she said, standing at the window looking out at Manhattan lit up below them. I've been here 6 years. still not tired of the view. She turned to face him. "Can I ask you something?" "Always." "Your family, they're not just in the art business, are they?" He was quiet for a moment. Then, "You're very observant." "I'm an architect. Observation is part of the job. The phone calls, the meetings, the way people react to you. Your resources." She walked closer to him. "I'm not asking for details. I don't need to know specifics. I'm just asking if I'm right." "You're right." "Okay." "Okay?" He looked surprised. "I like you. A lot. You've been nothing but good to me. Whatever your family does, whatever complicated business they're in, you've been kind and respectful and genuine. So yes, okay." He pulled her close and kissed her. "You're remarkable, you know that." "I've been told I'm moderately impressive." He laughed against her mouth. 2 months in, she met his family. Sunday dinner in Queens at his uncle's house. She was nervous walking up to the door, Dominic's hand warm in hers. The house was full, loud. Italian being spoken as much as English. The smell of cooking food overwhelming in the best way. Kids running around. Adults talking over each other. Exactly what she'd imagine a big Italian family dinner would be. Dominic's mother was there. Maria Moretti had flown in from Naples for the week. She was small, maybe 5'2", with silver hair and sharp eyes that saw everything. "You're too skinny," was the first thing she said to Kat. "Come, we fix this." "It's nice to meet you too, Mrs. Moretti." "Maria, please, and you. You make my son smile like I haven't seen in years. You stay, you eat." Kat laughed. She couldn't help it. "Yes, ma'am." Dinner was massive. Multiple courses. Pasta made from scratch that morning. Chicken, vegetables. Bread still warm from the oven. Wine that Dominic's uncle claimed he made himself. Dessert. Coffee. Then more dessert. Stories were told loudly, everyone interrupting everyone else. Kat learned that Dominic's sister Sophia had 3 kids and strong opinions about everything. That his brother Marco worked with him in the business. That another brother, Luca, was handling things on the West Coast, which seemed deliberately vague. Sophia cornered Kat in the kitchen while they were bringing out dessert. "You know what we are, right? What this family does?" "I have a pretty good idea." "And you're still here?" "I'm still here." Sophia studied her for a long moment. "Why?" "Because he treats me well, makes me laugh, supports what I want to do with my career, doesn't try to change me or control me. Whatever your family business is, he's kept me separate from it. So yes, I'm still here." Sophia smiled. "Good answer. He needs someone who sees him. Not just the family, not just the money. Him. I see him. Then your family now. Welcome to the chaos." 3 months in, Kat got promoted again. Senior junior architect. Raise. Better projects. More responsibility. Dominic took her to dinner to celebrate. Not Piccolo Paradiso this time. Somewhere new. But the pride in his eyes was the same as it had been in Antonio's restaurant that first night. 4 months in, he asked her to move in. They were at his loft, cooking dinner together, and he just said it. "Move in with me." She looked up from chopping vegetables. "Really?" "Really. Your lease is up next month anyway. You're here most of the time. It makes sense." "It does make sense." "So?" "Yes. Okay, let's do it." Moving was easy. She didn't have much. The furniture from her Astoria apartment went to a friend who was just starting out. Her clothes filled half of his massive closet. Her drafting table went in the second bedroom. Her books mixed with his on the shelves. Her dying plants got places by the windows where maybe they'd thrive with better light. It felt natural. Right. Like pieces of a puzzle fitting together without force. 6 months after the night she'd left her purse at Piccolo Paradiso, they went back. Antonio saw them walk in together and his face lit up. Dom and Kat. Together. I knew it. The moment I saw Dom take that purse, I knew. He seated them at Dominic's usual table. The corner, back to the wall. Brought wine without asking. On the house. For love that starts with forgotten things. During dinner, Kat reached across the table and took Dominic's hand. You know this is kind of crazy, right? I forget my purse. You drive to Queens at midnight, and 6 months later I'm living with you. Best thing you ever forgot. Best thing you ever returned. You were drunk. Called me very attractive within the first minute of meeting me. Drunk honesty is still honesty. He laughed. True. Thank you, she said seriously. For that night, for taking the chance, for driving all the way to my apartment when you could have just left my purse at the restaurant. Thank you for opening the door, for inviting me in, for taking a chance on a stranger showing up at midnight. Not a stranger anymore. No, not anymore. Antonio walked past their table and paused. You know, Dom, I've been in this business 40 years. You learn to read people. When I saw you take that purse, I knew something was happening. You'd been watching her table all night. Kat looked at Dominic. Really? Really. You were laughing. Natural. Happy. I couldn't stop watching. Good thing I'm a lightweight who forgets things when I drink too much wine. Best lightweight I ever met. They finished dinner slowly, shared tiramisu, drank espresso. Neither of them in any hurry to leave the place where they'd unknowingly begun. Walking out to the car, Kat stopped and looked back at the restaurant. The lights warm in the windows, people inside eating and laughing and living their lives. What are you thinking? Dominic asked. That I'm glad I was celebrating that night. Glad I drank too much. Glad you were the kind of person who returns purses at midnight instead of doing the sensible thing. The sensible thing would have meant never meeting you. There's nothing sensible about that. No, there's not. He pulled her close and kissed her under the streetlights. The city moved around them. Cars passing, people walking by. The ordinary chaos of New York on a Thursday night. Let's go home, he said. Yeah, let's go home. They drove through Manhattan, from the Village to Soho, to the loft that was theirs now, full of both their things, both their lives, both their futures. Inside, she kicked off her shoes and went to the windows. The view still took her breath away. The city spread out below like a carpet of lights. Endless. Alive. Home. He came up behind her and wrapped his arms around her waist. Happy 6-month anniversary of the purse, she said. Happy 6-month anniversary of the purse. Should we celebrate this every year? Definitely. Antonio would be devastated if we didn't. She turned in his arms. I love our story. It's weird and unlikely and started because I was drunk and forgetful, and you were slightly stalkerish. I prefer to think of it as determined. Stalkerish. Determined. We'll agree to disagree. He kissed her. Deal. A year after that night, they were still in the loft. Still together. Still finding new things about each other. Kat's career had taken off. 2 more promotions. Her own team. Projects she was proud of. Buildings being built from her designs. Dominic's galleries continued growing. A 4th location in Los Angeles. International artists seeking representation. Success building on success. They'd found a rhythm. Morning coffee made together. Evenings cooking dinner or going out. Weekends exploring the city or staying in. Video calls with Maria in Naples, who complained they didn't visit enough but said it with love. His family business did what it did. She understood now, generally, without asking for specifics. The galleries were legitimate, successful. But there were other things. Other meetings. Other aspects of the family that stayed separate from her life with Dominic, and she was fine with that. Some doors stayed closed, and that was okay. What mattered was them. The way he supported her ambitions without question. The way she accepted all parts of him without judgment. The way they'd built something real from something that started as chance and choice and midnight courage. One Thursday evening, exactly a year after she'd forgotten her purse, they went back to Piccolo Paradiso. Without planning it. Just felt right. Antonio saw them and smiled that knowing smile. Brought champagne without asking. 1 year. From that night to this. Bellissimo. After dinner, walking to the car, Kat said, "I'm glad I was drunk that night. I'm glad I was there to see it. I'm glad you're the kind of person who does things like drive to Queens at midnight for someone you don't know. I'm glad you're the kind of person who opens the door and invites them in for coffee." She laughed. "We're both slightly crazy. The best people are." 2 years after the purse incident, Dominic proposed. Not at Piccolo Paradiso, which would have been too obvious. At the Soho Gallery after hours. Just them and art, and the question he'd been planning for months. She said yes before he finished asking. They got married a year later. Small ceremony, close friends and family. Maria flew in from Naples and cried through the entire thing. Sophia said she'd known from the first dinner. Marco gave a speech about second chances and finding the person who sees you. Antonio catered, insisted on it, said they couldn't start their married life without his blessing and his cooking. The food was incredible. The wine flowed. Everyone danced and laughed and celebrated two people who'd found each other in the strangest, most beautiful way. On their wedding night, back at the loft, Kat stood at the windows in her wedding dress looking out at the city. "What are you thinking?" Dominic asked, coming to stand behind her. "That 4 years ago I forgot my purse at a restaurant, that you showed up at my door at midnight, that I was drunk enough to call you very attractive to your face, that you were kind enough to not run away, and now we're here. Best purse ever forgotten. Best midnight delivery ever made." He turned her to face him. "I love you. I love you too." They stood there in their wedding clothes looking at each other, the city spread out behind them through the windows. "Thank you," she said, "for that night, for taking the chance, for being you. Thank you for opening the door, for being you." 4 years after leaving her purse at a restaurant, Katrina Bennett was married to the man who'd brought it back. They'd built a life together, a real one, full of art and architecture and family and love and the million small moments that make up a shared existence. Sometimes the best things start with mistakes. Sometimes forgetting leads to finding exactly what you needed. Sometimes a drunk woman calling a stranger very attractive at midnight is the beginning of everything that matters. Sometimes the universe works in the strangest, most perfect ways. And sometimes, a forgotten purse and a midnight knock on the door change everything.